This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Lockdown Coverage, week number 2 in the National Football League. Seattle Seahawks at home for the first time in 2017, taking on the San Francisco 49ers in a little bit of NFC West family business. If these two teams say they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's family business. And I was a little disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I'm disappointed in the Seahawks in this contest. But what I had to come to grips with after sitting down and analyzing the situation and watching the game is that it's family business, man. It doesn't matter how bad we perceive the 49ers to be or what we think the final outcome for their season is going to be when it's all said and done, or the fact that Billy Ho didn't throw for 100 yards in his football game and they still had the lead in the fourth quarter. That doesn't matter. What matters is that these two teams know each other like the back of their hand, and they're family members, and these games are going to be close. Throw the records out of the window. Throw expectations and perceptions out of the window when teams in the same division lock horns. Anything and usually everything is on the table and will occur in these games. And you're not going to see a ton of teams have the success the 49ers had rushing the football against Seattle in this game moving forward. But because they're family members, they can get away with this. And so this game was fascinating, even though the score wasn't appealing. And at points in this game, it could have put you to sleep if you weren't paying close attention. But at the end of the day, these are two teams in the same division that know each other well, battling it out. And I say this all the time. I'm like a broken record. At times, I even get tired of hearing myself say this, but it's the truth. That's why I constantly repeat myself. The good teams in this league find ways to win close games like this, and the bad teams find ways to lose. And it's really as simple as that. It boils down to the good teams find a way to get it done. There's no excuses. No, we didn't play a good game. No, we're not happy with our performance, but we're going to find a way to fix it while winning. That's what the good teams do. They don't always win pretty. And again, I say this all the time. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just needs to be gritty and a W, because at the end of the day, all wins are pretty. Maybe ugly on the inside. It may make you feel bad on the inside, like, oh man, we didn't deserve to win this game. No one's turning down W's. They all look pretty on the outside, because at the end of the day, no one's going to look at your win and demean your win or give you less of a win. You don't get a percentage of a win. You just get a new number in the left-hand column. And guess what? After each and every single game, we all want the number in the left-hand column to go up by 1. And so that's what the Seahawks did in this game. They had a 0 in the left-hand column before this game started. After it was done, they had a 1 in the left-hand column. And that is all you're looking for at the end of the day. And so they'll take a 12-9 victory over the San Francisco 49ers at home. They'll take it, they'll run with it, and they'll try to get better for next week's game. And that's just how it goes in this league. So we'll talk about this game quickly and get out of here. I want to first say thank you to all of you who are joining me. And also, if you haven't already subscribed to the Louie T Network, go ahead and do that. We're changing the game here on the Louie T Network, changing the way that football is viewed by us fans here on YouTube. And I want you to be a part of that. So hit the subscribe button and become a member of the Louie T Network for great content in 2017 and beyond. Also, I'm on Twitter. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter as well. If you have something that you want to say and you want your voice to be heard at the end of this video, I will be reading comments if you use the hashtag LouieTLive. So if you want your comment read at the end of this breakdown, use the hashtag LouieTLive, and I will read your comment at the end of this breakdown if it is pertinent. And so we start with the Seahawks in this game. They were able to get the win 12-9 and bounce back from that tough loss on the road to Green Bay the week prior I think that game was, 17-9, if I'm not mistaken. Seahawks in these weird scores. Last year, they lost a game 9-3 to the Rams. You never know what Seattle team is going to show up. And I think last year, they also tied the Arizona Cardinals 7-7. So you just never know what the hell Seattle Seahawks team is going to show up. They've struggled to score over the last 2 years. That's a fact. And they've gotten off to a rough start this year scoring the football. And this just may be who they are. Let's face it. No more Jermaine Kearse. And I don't want to make it seem like Jermaine Kearse was a huge part of their offense, but Jermaine Kearse was a big enough part of their offense. And he's balling right now for the New York Jets. And he's not on this team anymore. And you look at this football team, the way they're constructed, they want to run the football. Chris Carson has been a revelation for them. Their 7th-round draft pick out of Oklahoma State has come in and been one of their best, if not their best, running back option. 20 carries, 93 yards, and the biggest drive of the game after the touchdown, obviously, to go ahead and take the lead at 12-9 was the drive at the end of the game to salt the clock away. And Chris Carson starred on that drive as well. He was outstanding in this game. And I think that's where it starts for the Seahawks team, is their ability to run the football. That's who they want to be. They're starting to get healthy at the running back position. Both Rawls and C.J. Procise actually played, which is amazing to see these guys on the football field, because it seems like those guys are hurt every week. And so to see these guys on the field actually participating in this game, I was blown away. I didn't even remember what numbers these guys wore. I didn't remember what these guys looked like on the football field, because they're never healthy. So to see those guys out there but still have Chris Carson carrying the load speaks volumes. Now, obviously, you want to work these guys back in slowly. Thomas Rawls not going to get the bulk of the carries in his first game back in a long time. But in any event, Carson is a guy that I think they really like in Seattle, and I think he's going to continue to get the bulk of the carries despite guys starting to get healthy. That's where it starts for them on the offensive side of football, their ability to run the football. I think everything else will predicate off of that, but I will say this. They still struggle to find ways to get Jimmy Graham involved. Russell Wilson got him lit up. Jaquaski Tart, I say this every time I do a 49ers game. Man, is he good. Man, is he impressive. He lit Jimmy Graham up in this game, dislodged him from the football. I think Jimmy Graham actually suffered an injury in this game. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. They haven't found ways to get him the football consistently since coming over to Seattle. They've struggled at the receiver position. Lockett is good one week, then he's quiet for the next two. Paul Richardson shows up one week, and then you don't hear from him for a month. It seems like the only guy you can count on week in, week out is Doug Baldwin with this football team at the receiver position. So you just don't know what you're going to get from the Seahawks from week to week. Tyler McAvoy had a touchdown in his hands in the end zone and let them knock it out of his hands. The inconsistency with this Seahawks team offensively is scary. Obviously, the offensive line continues to be an issue. Russell Wilson's inability to get the football out of his hands quickly remains an issue for this team. We blame the offensive line all the time for the struggles, but some of that falls in the lap of Russell Wilson simply not making a quick enough decision with the football. You know the offensive line is a little shoddy. You know you don't have as much time. Then you need to get rid of the football sooner and not hold on to it and make this offensive line look better and worse than it already is. And so some of the onus needs to fall in the lap of Russell Wilson for not getting rid of the football fast enough. That being said, it's the play caller's job to put them in positions to where they can get rid of the football quicker, some screens, things that you just don't see with this Seahawks team enough. You haven't seen the screen game be prevalent in Seattle since Golden Tate left, which to me is a problem, especially when you got a guy like Lockett, who is naturally a punt returner by trade, a guy that would love to get the football out in space. I think the same can be said with Paul Richardson. If you get him the ball out in space and give him some space to run, this guy's extremely fast and electric and dynamic. He can make plays, yet they don't run these plays very often in Seattle. And so this offense is struggling. They can't get the football in the end zone consistently. We saw it last week against Green Bay. The struggles continue this week. Luckily enough for them, they were able to put together that last drive and get it in the end zone on 3rd and 7. Russell Wilson having to create magic again with a Houdini escape route out of the back door and finding P. Rich right by the sidelines in the end zone for the touchdown. It was a struggle in this game offensively. The first drive of the game was beautiful, but you still don't get in the end zone, and that's a backbreaker in this league. You allow teams like the 49ers to hang in when you settle for field goals. Had that first drive of the game been a touchdown and you score another touchdown later on in the game, we're not even talking about a close game here, but the fact that you settled for field goals all game long until the final score for you in this game, which was a touchdown, that allowed the 49ers to hang tough in this game and actually take the lead in the fourth quarter with the field goal 9-6. So the Seahawks have to find better ways, more creative ways to get into the end zone. No longer are they able to line up and say, all right, we're going to pound this rock in with Marshawn Lynch. He's not there anymore. This offensive line isn't the same anymore. This isn't the same team. They don't have the same identity. They need to be more creative and find better ways to try to get into the end zone. From a defensive standpoint, the only negative takeaway from this game is the fact that they were run on in this game. Gave up a huge 61-yard run to Carlos Hyde, another run for about 23 to 30 yards for Hyde in this game. He was well over 100 yards on just 14 or 15 carries in this game, which is uncharacteristic of this Seahawks defense. You generally don't see them give up these types of runs and this many yards on this few carries. The fact that they were able to score on a couple of possessions just off of Hyde runs alone put them in a position to try to steal this game is a problem for the Seahawks. Defensively in the secondary, they got it done. They shut down the 49ers passing attack for the most part. Wagner with a beautiful interception early on in this game that led to Seahawks having an opportunity to score. And so they did some really good things defensively. What you expect from them defensively, they got it done in this game. And when they finally did take the lead, hats off to this defense for getting the football back 3 and out to this offense, who then went into their 4-minute offense and was able to salt this game away. So this team found a way to get it done. That's what the good teams in this league do, find ways to win. And that's what the Seahawks did on both sides of the football. For the 49ers, just a tough way to go out here. You give yourself a fighting chance by running the football effectively and keeping the Seahawks out of the end zone for the majority of the day. You give up one touchdown at the end of the game, and that ends up being the deciding factor in the outcome. It's frustrating because you've done everything you can do from a defensive standpoint and a special team standpoint to have a chance in this game, yet ultimately the defense wasn't able to get that final stop and give you a chance to win. And then the offense, you say what you want about the defense not getting that stop. The offense still had an opportunity to go down the field and tie this game up after the Seahawks missed the extra point. That's a problem in itself there. If you're the Seahawks as well, you have a chance to push it out to a 4-point lead with an extra point, which would make the 49ers have to score a touchdown. Instead, you miss, leave the door slightly ajar. Door slightly ajar for them to move it down the field and get in the field goal range. All they needed was one more Carlos Hyde 35-yard run, and voila, they would have been close enough to start thinking about a field goal attempt tying the football game. So that's something you got to clean up. But above all else, if you're the 49ers, you gave it a run with your defense. I think that this defense, I've said this before, I said it all offseason, this is a talented 49ers defense. And they're going to give their team a chance most afternoons to try to be in ball games and win. The question that is really going to determine whether they're going to win 2 games this year or 5 games this year is, can the offense generate enough points for them to win, or can the defense generate points themselves and help the offense do enough to win games? Because this defense is going to hold teams down for the most part. You're not going to see them get blown out a ton. As bad as they were in week 1, 23-3 against Carolina, that's as bad as it's probably going to get for them this season. I don't anticipate someone drubbing the 49ers 47-10 this year. I think the defense is too good to allow that to happen. I think if the defense can continue to hold teams down, the question becomes, can the offense do enough? I'm not sure that they can. I don't think they have enough talent on the offensive side of the football. But Carlos Hyde was a great revelation in this particular game. I like Carlos Hyde a lot. I actually like the backs that you have on your roster. And we're going to see if they can continue to run the football effectively moving forward, because I thought they went away from the run a little too soon against Carolina, even though the Panthers started to clamp down on the run after some early success. So I want to see if they can continue to run the football successfully. That will open up some opportunities to maybe drive the football down the field. The way the 49ers want to run their offense, what you saw in the third preseason game versus Minnesota, that's what they want to do. Run the football, set up play action fake, drive it down the field. They haven't been able to do that in the regular season. Now with the emergence of the running game and Carlos Hyde having the success he had in this game, maybe teams will look at the 49ers run game and want to load up to try to stop that, and maybe that will give you some opportunities to push the football down the field. We'll see, but they gave themselves a shot in this game. The defense gave this 49ers team a shot in this game, and the offense simply let them down. Special teams was outstanding. You knock home 3 field goals, you give yourself a chance. They had a chance to steal this one. They just couldn't get it done down the stretch as the Seattle Seahawks find a way to get it done 12-9 over the 49ers. Niners dropped to 0-2. Seahawks go to 1-1 on the season. Again, wasn't pretty, but it was gritty, and most importantly, it was a W. Let's get to any comments that may be out there. BK Soldier 2010 says, do you think Pat Mahomes can lead the Chiefs to a playoff spot if Alex Smith leaves this offseason? I already talked about that on the Chiefs video, but the answer is no right now. But we'll come back to that another time. Vincent Cole says, should I just be getting used to the Seahawks offense slow start, just like literally every season? Will this season be different than the slow starts from previous seasons offensively? I don't think so. I think what you see is what you get with this Seattle Seahawks team offensively. They're lacking offensive firepower right now, and it seems like it takes them a really long time to get on track. And then right around week 10, they start hitting their stride, and all of a sudden they've scored 30-plus points in 3 out of the last 4 games. But that's usually an aberration for them. This is who they more or less are as a football team. They're not going to score 35 points very often. They may get you for 35 if the defense is playing outstanding ball. They bust off a special teams touchdown or a great return and set up a scoring opportunity. And Russell Wilson and the run game is really going effectively. And then all of a sudden they're able to bootleg and play action off of that, and guys are running free and Russell Wilson's hitting them. But they're going to be a team that struggles to score for the majority of this season. And their schedule doesn't get much easier. They don't have a bunch of easy games on the schedule. When you win the division, you get tough ball games. You still got Dallas on the schedule, obviously. You still got Atlanta on the schedule, obviously, because you won the division. You still got to play Arizona twice. You still got to play the Rams, who you just struggle with every year, and their defense is locked in. This is not going to get any easier for Russell Wilson and this Seahawks offense. So, yeah. I think you could just get used to this and just hope that the defense continues to play well. Cloud says, sometimes the Seahawks start off slow, then pick it up as the season goes along. That's what they've done in the past, but I don't know if that's what's going to happen this year. Off topic, Cloud says, the Giants are getting killed at the moment. I got to get back to the game to see that. We'll talk about it, because the Giants might be struggling this year. And again, without Odell Beckham healthy, this is what the Giants are. But we'll talk about that during the game. Vincent Cole says, fantasy question, do you see Doug Baldwin getting more receptions or having better yards in the next few games? I drafted him pretty early, points per reception system. It just depends on who you guys are playing and what the matchups look like. I don't know your schedule, so that would have to be my next question is, who are you guys playing? Because I don't know the answer to that right now. Vincent Cole says, which team's offense is worse so far this season? Seahawks or Bengals? LOL. It's definitely the Bengals, because at least the Seahawks have gotten into the end zone at some point this season. Even though it's only once, they still have gotten into the end zone, whereas the Cincinnati Bengals still have yet to score a touchdown in 2017. So I definitely would go with the Bengals having the worst offense thus far. Rams all day says, do you think the Rams can get the W? I don't know who the Rams are playing. I haven't looked at the schedule for this week, so I wouldn't be able to answer that. But I don't know who they're playing. But the Rams are a different team, and I think they've got a chance to beat anybody in the league any given week with the way they play defense. And with Jared Goff and his new sense of confidence with Sean McVay as your offensive coordinator, this team is going to have a shot just about every week. It's just how do they perform in the clutch moments of football games. We saw them fold up against the Redskins in a clutch moment with Goff throwing the interception and the defense giving up the touchdown to allow the Redskins to take the lead. Those are the moments. That's money time. That's winning time. In any sport, you got to find a way to get it done in those crucial moments, because in the National Football League, as we know, the difference between winning and losing is a very fine line, and it's usually a couple of plays here, a couple of plays there, and normally these plays happen at the end of the game, which are going to determine whether you win or lose. And so that's going to be what the Rams are going to have to do. They're going to have to find ways to make those plays at the end of games, which will allow them to win more games than they lose. Vincent Coe says, all these rookie running backs been killing it. Where's my guy Mixon? Mixon is in an offense right now that is just confused. They don't know what they want to do offensively. They don't know how to get these guys the football. And so that's why he's struggling. Stevie D says, I feel like the Hawks need a true number one receiver and a run game and a few offensive linemen to be the team that contends. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, you basically just said it. That's what they need. They need a number one receiver. I love Doug Baldwin, but I think he'd be even better as a number two. And they need offensive linemen, obviously. And they need an identity. That's, I think, what they're struggling with the most right now is the lack of identity. If they can get that, I think they'll be fine. But their problem right now is that they're struggling with a lack of identity. And until they can carve out a niche for themselves as to what they want to be offensively, they're going to continue to struggle. DC says, if it wasn't for Goodwin dropping the ball at the 10, we could have scored the team and pulled the upset of the millennium. Yeah, that was a tough break there. I thought this team battled their ass off, man. They deserved to have a shot to win that football game. And it's unfortunate that it's a play like that, but when you're a team like the 49ers, it's plays just like that are going to determine whether you win or lose. And like I said before, the good teams find a way to make that play and win the game ultimately, and the bad teams in this league don't make that play and you lose that game. And you saw an example of it right there. Rams all day says the good defense, Niners. So I'm assuming the Rams play the Niners. Oh, yeah, that's right, Thursday Night Football. What am I thinking? That's right, that game is on Thursday night, Niners, Rams. I think the 49ers or the Rams are going to find a way to get that done. I got to wait to see, what the injuries look like from both teams. And it's a short week. Much like with the Texans, they had all of their tight ends out and all of that stuff. So you just want to see who's banged up, who's going to go, who's not going to be able to go before I make my decision. But most likely I'm going to probably roll with the Rams there. DC says, who do you think will win this Thursday night? The Niners, Rams battle the rookie head coaches. I'm going with most likely, and like I said before, I can't make that assessment yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to go with the Rams in that football game. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Niners got to be at home because the Rams already played 2 home games to start the season off. So no way they're getting a third. So that's got to be in San Francisco. So it's going to be a fun game. I think a lot of people are disappointed with that contest. I'm not. I'm looking forward to seeing those two teams and see what they're able to do. The last time these teams were on primetime television against one another, the 49ers blanked the Rams and embarrassed them in week 1 of the season last year. So I'm anxious to see what happens in that game. And, I'm always rooting for my man Sean McVay, but I'm also a Kyle Shanahan fan because both of these guys used to be coaches for the Washington Redskins. So should be fun. I think both of these teams have aggressive defenses that can get it done. I think it's going to come down to the offenses of both of these teams and how they execute against the other's defense, because both of these defenses are good enough to get it done. So I think that's what it'll all boil down to when it's all said and done in that particular matchup. DC says, trust me, if the offense can get going, we could steal 7 games. I don't know about 7. That's a pretty large number. But the way that this defense is playing, you could definitely win 5 for sure. 5 is the limit that I see. But if this offense can get going, it changes the dynamics of what this 49ers team looks like. But I just don't see it happening. Not this season, at least. I don't think you have enough horses on that side of the football to get it done. But we shall see. But in any event, I'm going to let you get back to the football game. I apologize for keeping you away from it for so long, or at least diverting some of your attention from the game. We'll come back. We'll break down Monday Night Football in all of its splendor on Monday Night Football overtime, as the Lions right now are giving it to the Giants. And so we'll see what happens. And if this game continues in the direction that it's going, the Giants will fall to 0-2 and all of a sudden be in last place in the NFC East division. Meanwhile, the Lions will go to an impressive 2-0 with some big wins, one over Arizona at home and now on the road against the Giants. So we will see how this game continues to play out. But in any event, I'm Louie T, your man, hosting lockdown coverage here. Thank you for joining me. Week 2 about to come to a close as we get to Monday Night Football overtime. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on the Louie T Network. Seahawks get it done, 12-9. Again, not the prettiest of victories, but gritty and a dub. You take it all day long. Niners drop to 0-2, and Seahawks get their first win of the season at 1-1 on the season. That's going to do it for me here on Lockdown Coverage, but I'll be back soon with Monday Night Football overtime. I'll see you for that a little bit later on. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of the game. I'll see you then.